Bitcoin breaking all-time highs. What's going on? Are we going to have a bit of a rejection here? Is the market going to explode much higher from here? Let's everybody get into this. We're going to be bringing in kind of dual streaming here with what we're doing on with the Mario and All channel. So we're going to have some major guests talking. I'm going to be sharing charts. We're going to be breaking down exactly what's going on. So let's get this retweeted out everywhere we can. We're going to be breaking live here in just a moment. So hope you're all doing well. I know man, guys, I'm so excited about everything happening right now. Golly, this is so good.
Kelly, I don't hear any music, but I don't think that this space needs much introduction. So about 10 minutes ago, we had the official all-time high for Bitcoin, and that price was based on Binance. Just looking at the price now on CoinMarketCap, we're just sitting right above that 109K range. I mean, I think a lot of people on my X timeline are thinking that this isn't really going to stop here. I see a lot of people calling for 110K Bitcoin. The euphoria is definitely really high. I mean, a lot of people are waiting for altcoins to pull up now as well. But now is just really a celebratory time to kind of dance a little bit and celebrate that all-time high for Bitcoin. Kelly, how you feeling?
I'm feeling excellent. We've been covering this a lot over, on everybody, I think, in the market, watching this like a hawk. Bitcoin pushing up to previous all-time high, 109,000, about 350, 375. It did break beyond that. We're sitting now looking beautifully, actually, like a bit of a bull flag. I mean, this is on a 1 minute chart, but if we're looking even at, like the 3 minute, 7 minute on these small time frames, everybody's super hyper focused on. I wouldn't get so overwhelmingly like, if we have a pullback here, you lose your minds because we do have some levels that are directly below us that it wouldn't be so out of context to go and test back down to, whether that's about 107, 800, maybe even a little lower back into the 105s. But we've got plenty of supports below us. But as it stands right now, I think we need to realize a couple things. One, that we did break all-time high, and what that generates each time that happens is an onslaught of press coverage of different influencers, of different podcasters, of mainstream news media getting out there. And this is going to hit the headlines. And I do think this is going to cause a bit more of a liquidity flow into the space. But I'm super excited about this. I know we got quite a panel that's going to be rolling in through here. We got Druth also in the room. How you doing? How you feeling about this? What's on your horizon with this move?
Man, biggest profits in a short amount of time in my life since that dip to 75K. We've been trading off of the general momentum of Bitcoin. I mean, and you were calling it too, Kelly. We got in, I got my hands dirty at about 75 and have been basically just longing my way back up to these current levels. And this has been a really, really interesting time for Bitcoin. It's that 30% plus pullback that we had from the original inauguration night where we hit $109,400. It was thought that a lot of kind of short-term mindset folks are like, that's the top, that's it. Trump basically marked the top of the markets in general. And a lot of people unfortunately sold their backs. When we started to break down below $80,000, there's a lot of capitulation. A lot of short-sightedness took hold of crypto Twitter. And I think a lot of that came from people that were over leveraged in, different ecosystems in altcoins, but they weren't seeing the bigger picture that Bitcoin is still the king crypto, and all things flow downhill from Bitcoin success. And something really important to note, Kelly, I just wanted to highlight, we've been covering this when it was happening, but when we did pull back to 35 or 75K, that was a 30% pullback, the exact same thing that we saw in the last bull market, where we basically fell from $42,000 all the way on down to about 28. And their same sentiment hit the markets. But what happened right after that? We had a massive, massive rally that ended up with 100% upside from that fall down to 28K last bull market. And this is without strategic reserves. I think we'll touch on the Texas strategic reserve and kind of where that is at in the process on this show. I think it's very relevant. But if we fully play out, what we've seen in the last cycle, even without all these reserves being talked about, that ends up bringing us, in kind of the shorter time frame over the next few months, up to right at about $150,000 plus per Bitcoin. This is where I think a lot of people's disbelief will come into play. But you know what? We've been early adopters of crypto. We've been told we're idiots. We've been told that it's a Ponzi scheme by the largest institutions on the planet for a decade plus now. And we deserve this, So pat yourselves on the back if you front ran the nation state move and really the supply squeeze of a century on one of the most finite resources on the planet that's based in physics and the cost of energy production, man. This is a tangible competition with gold on a new hemisphere of digital communications that we've never seen. I didn't expect to see this in my lifetime. I'm sitting right in the middle of it and honestly super blessed to work with you, Kelly, and everyone else at the IBC team to cover this stuff on the daily. I'm super excited for today. We watched the all-time high live and I'm just pumped, man. I'm freaking pumped. Back to you guys.
Yeah, I couldn't be more excited of this as well. And again, I want to caution everybody because we broke all-time high doesn't mean when a lot of people say this is just going to melt to the upside, it doesn't mean that it's only going to go up only from here. We very well could get a bit of a washout move to the downside, which would not be out of context. We do that a lot with shaking out liquidity. But when we look at the pressures and the capital channels and the financialization of Bitcoin and all the players essentially right now figuring out what they're doing to get situated and how they're going to stack and what their stacking sort of programs going to be, I think seeing much higher in the near future is going to be, it's an inevitability, especially with the inevitability of money printing, especially with what we're seeing in the Japanese bond market right now. Hell, what we're seeing in the US bond market right now. Very interesting characterizations of people kind of putting Jerome Powell under fire, but nobody really realizes his sort of out of context sort of market that he's looking at right now. But I'd love to get Dave Weisberger in the mix. How do you feel about the move today, and what do you see coming in the near future? Hey, Bitcoin conference in Vegas in only a matter of days. Are we still going to be up here breaking past all time highs? It'd be the first
I mean,
time.
I got to say two things. First, I love hated rallies, grinding rallies. If you look over the last 2 days at the size of the 1 minute candles relative to the move, they're extraordinarily small. That is really, really good because what it's telling you is that patient algorithms are just having to ratchet up their prices slowly to get liquidity where they didn't used to have to. It's not those, God candles where some idiot goes in and buys some stupid amount, carelessly pushing the price up, which inevitably, when that happens, retraces 50% or the whole move. So it is very different. Structurally, it looks like things haven't really changed except for the sellers kind of like, a little bit less available. And so that's actually very positive. As far as the Bitcoin conference is concerned, I mean, it usually represents a top, a short-term top. It usually things go down from the beginning of that conference until after. But I don't know that there's any usually that we should really look at anymore, right? Because it's a different world. I mean, this morning, the analysis that IBIT became a top 5 ETF in the entirety of the financial system. And this isn't a crypto thing, where gold was 14th this year, and you've seen the kind of moves that people have been talking about with gold, is a big deal. It's showing you money that comes into whatever asset it is that's going to stay for a year and a half or more. And I did a post this morning where I talked about the investment thesis that most of the people like me who are in Bitcoin believe that at a minimum you're going to see a price of some point in the future. Now, not tomorrow, but a price approaching $1 million a coin. And so, if you're thinking about a 10x, why are you thinking about selling because of a 10% move? The answer is you won't get shaken out. And so there's a lot of those cross currents going on, but it feels like the likelihood of Bitcoin approaching gold at some point is the highest probability that's ever been. And so I think that that's what you're seeing in the dynamics of the market. And what we want to see is this. I mean, as far as I could tell, Kelly, Google searches are still really low. Retail is still really not participating except
Kelly,
by.
did you lose Dave?
No, I still
No, we
hear him.
still got him.
He's still
No,
clear.
we still hear him.
Oh, did I? Because I think I'm on good internet. I think I should be
No,
all
you're
right.
good. It's all. I think it was on Buzz's end.
Yeah, well, I was mostly done, but I mean, to me, it's seeing it. So, like, yeah, look, it's nice for personal ego, because I call you and I together. We were on the same space and whatnot, where we said that that the last impulse below 80 was probably the last time, and the triple bottom is tradable. So it's good to be, and that we would see all-time highs before we saw the doom and gloom predictions in the 60s that people were making. So cool. So I'll pat myself on the back. That and a Metro card will get you on the subway. Who really cares?
Well, Dave, let me ask you a question about that though, because everybody seems to be in argument right now about what needs to happen for Bitcoin higher, and it seems like Bitcoin is essentially ignoring a lot of what people think it needs to look at, because of just the nature of where it's at on its own stage on the world now. Considering what's happening with interest rate cuts, considering when we're going to print, if we're going to print, and then you look at charts at like the Federal Reserve's accounting, and they've lost almost $200 billion in the last 2 years, which you haven't seen really since the 2000s. So it seems, and then you look at the bond markets, especially in Japan and the US, it seems like there's this debate of if money printing is going to happen more quickly than they assume or not, and how that may impact or influence Bitcoin's price action, because we're seeing global money rise, but we're not yet seeing it printing here in the US.
Well, okay, so a couple things. First of all, anyone who wants to answer a good answer to Kelly's question, that is literally what Arthur Hayes just answered last week in his typical missive on Substack. So I'll TLDR it for you. Basically, money printing in the sense of governments running fiscal deficits is out as far as the eye can see. The need for yield curve control in pretty much every major market, in Japan obviously needs it, certainly up to 30 years where it's getting to be crisis levels, is obvious. That is going to be incredibly good for assets like Bitcoin. It will certainly be good for gold as well. It is virtually baked in the cake. And so we have seen none of that in the US, and Bitcoin's not reacting to that. Bitcoin's just reacting to pure supply demand dynamics based upon the long term future, and kind of working through the overhead of lots of people who bought Bitcoin below $1,000 saying, shit, at 100,000, this is life changing money, let me change my life. And I hate to be so flip about it, but that's it, right? That's a large part of it. And so you're seeing some of that. And we've been seeing that. You and I have talked about that for months now, but it's definitely more extreme here. The question is how much more of there is of that to go, right? And I think the answer is it's dwindling, it's decreasing. It's never a binary. It's not a switch, but we'll see. It's going to chop around here for a while and grind higher, is my suspicion. And most of the technical models in Bitcoin are using the notion of the 4-year cycle. Well, the problem with the 4-year cycle is that yes, it's important in terms of network growth and for mining and for hash rate and for difficulty, but the actual physical amount that's mined on a daily basis is a fraction of the new demand that we've seen. So it's just mathematically less important than it used to be, and will continue to get less so. So that's why a lot of that, the people who say, well, the 4-year cycle says we should see a drop to 60 something, and I basically laughed at it and said, no, it wouldn't happen for that reason. But it's just the math, right?
Yo,
Cycle is progressively less important.
what's up, everybody? My phone is on 3% battery life, so it's about to die. So I just wanted to say a couple words and then bounce out of here. Congratulations to everyone who held through this little 3-month hiatus we took. My gut instinct is that we are about to go into full-blown price discovery mode, and I think we're going to be well north of 200K this year. So you need to prepare your mental strength, you need to prepare your physical strength, and you need to what's the technical term? Buckle up, baby, buckle up.
Mr. David Bailey, it's nice to meet you over here on X. I just wanted to know really quickly if you could give me a follow back and I could do an interview with you for my podcast. It'd be great to hear from you.
Yeah, just shoot me a DM and I will. My DMs are open. We can set something up.
All
All
right,
right,
perfect.
people. Hey,
Thank you.
remember, don't short Bitcoin. Whatever you do, don't short Bitcoin. Don't short Bitcoin treasury companies. You will blow yourself up. Just write it.
And David, this is going to be exciting. Bitcoin conference next week. We were just talking about that. This will be the first time Bitcoin over $100,000 at the conference. And what?
Oh no, it's going to be the biggest party on planet Earth.
Let's go.
You know that scene from The Matrix where the robots are coming to destroy, I forget what their city's called. I think it's called Zion or something like that. And they're all just in that one big chamber, hitting the drums, just partying, like they're about to die the next day. that's going to be Las Vegas. Okay, you do not want to miss this party. So anyway, I just wanted to come and say congratulations to everyone. Keep holding them strong. See you at 200K. Ciao.
Right on. Thanks for popping in here, everybody. That's the mother that brought the Bitcoin conference to reality and also was in the ear of Donald Trump and getting him on the Bitcoin train in a major way. So special shout out to him. We got a bunch of other people that have rolled in the room. Make sure you're retweeting this out, following these different participants up here on the stage, the co-hosts, the speakers, all sharing their thoughts. And let's throw it back over to Randy. Get your thoughts on this. And I'd love to get it over to David Tawil, and also Mind Your Biz. So Randy, how you doing? What you feeling about this price action?
I am feeling good, man. I am ready to get after it. I'm having a celebratory lunch right now, about to hop on another space in 15 minutes to talk about it. But this is what we all knew was coming. I mean, I made a video on TikTok about a month ago about how people were crying. Oh my gosh, Bitcoin's going down to 15K. The end is here. It was a fake top. Like everyone was so upset. They were whining and crying like little babies. But then, like, again, when in doubt, zoom out. Bitcoin's the best performing asset of all time. And if it pulls back, then you know what? It's a buying opportunity for when we are here now celebrating new all time highs. And all the people that had paper hands, all the people that sold, oh, 70K Bitcoin is still too expensive. Well, look at it now, buddy. And then we have over 90% of the world that has not yet touched this asset. And we're still at 109K. Guys, we have so much more room to run. Bitcoin is the most undervalued asset on the planet. So buckle up, guys. We're just getting started.
Right on. Thanks for hopping in here, Randy. I'm looking forward to this. I'm glad I could twist your arm into getting out there to the Bitcoin conference. We're going to have to do some media when we're out there together.
Absolutely.
Everybody make sure you're giving her a follow. I'd love to throw it over to Mr. Tawil. How you doing? It's always good to see you in these spaces. Always got great takes. What's your thoughts on this and what should people be looking out for?
Pleasure's mine. I think it's just, look, anytime we reach new all-time highs, and especially at a time when macro uncertainty is abound, in the United States, especially with regard to twin deficits, budgetary issues, tax bill being debated, strength of the U.S. dollar, which makes life tough, and yields going higher. The ability to see the safe haven asset powering higher during that period of time, I think for people that are thinking more broadly about Bitcoin, certainly as, a replacement for gold, certainly as, a digitized store of value, it's going to get a lot of attention in the TradFi community, I think, over the next couple of days. That's important for me, because that is where I think the greatest power forward in terms of money and value behind it, comes from, and that could be incredibly helpful. Certainly, coinciding with the event in Las Vegas next week, certainly helpful for the people that are already in euphoria. The other thing I wanted to mention, I was in Gracie Mansion in New York City yesterday for the convening of Mayor Adams' New York City Crypto Council. It was a great event. A lot of really good minds in New York City, in and around the crypto space, that were there, and it was top notch, folks. I would say I was probably, the dumbest, least successful guy in the room. Everybody from Mike Novogratz all the way down to me were there, and people were encouraged to compete, literally compete, to come up with ideas how New York City can go ahead and effectively impose upon the city to use crypto. And there were lots of great ideas that will be debated not only yesterday but over time. Whether there's in fact the will and the way to get something like this done in one of the greatest cities in the world, we'll have to wait and see. And whether it'll be subject to the awful policies of New York State when it comes to crypto, we'll have to wait and see. But nevertheless, New York City is doing good things, and it has the tools with which to go ahead and make New York City, I would say, in a not long period of time, a potentially great place for crypto and Bitcoin. And so I think to sum it up, between the all-time highs, between some of the initiatives that are going on, especially the one that happened yesterday, there are some great things on the horizon. And to me, that's what we've been waiting for. So let it keep going.
Right on. Yeah, we had one of our crew over from Hit Network there, Joshua Jake. So hopefully you got to meet him as well. I'm super excited. I came from New York. I was there for the last 16 years, recently moved down to Atlanta. But I do remember when Mayor Adams took his first few paychecks as mayor in Bitcoin. So that was excellent. It's nice to see, especially with how
It's too bad he only took the first few.
yeah, I know, right? Especially with what we saw. Hopefully, the number one thing they need to get rid of is the damn. I mean, the bit license is the stupidest shit that they ever did.
Yeah,
God,
that
what?
you and me both and everybody in that room was all about the bit license.
What a waste, man.
Yeah,
The funniest thing about that. So you guys will see it. I'm making an announcement later today. As one of my unretiring things, I'm joining a company called Solidus Labs that is just basically brought artificial intelligence and crypto chops to compliance. And I've seen their software. I know how fast they are. What is amazing is DFS is actually a client of theirs, but what could be done in weeks takes the DFS years. And there's no technological reason for it. It's just bureaucratic bureaucratic rot. And it is amazing. So if Adams wanted to ask the question, what could they do? It's actually let some of the smart people to DFS streamline their process, because it's not the problem isn't the bit license. The problem is it costs $500,000 to apply for it, and it takes a ridiculous amount of time. It should be $25,000 and get it done in a month or two for most use cases. And that's the problem. The problem isn't the idea. The problem is the implementation of the idea. The ideas are it's reasonable to have a basic structure. It's horrible to implement it in this stupidly expensive, time-consuming thing where actually getting a license is part of the value of the company, as opposed to, yeah, okay, I want to go get a permit, I go get a permit, right? It should be no big deal. Sorry, but it's a soapbox, and it's one that I'm very involved in
Dave,
now. Yep.
Dave, how do you compare that to like something like an MSB license though? Because like that becomes value to the company as well.
Yeah, but money services businesses are really effectively there. You're complying with light touch banking rules. You're basically saying, listen, we're not going to let you're not going to we have policies and procedures not to do money laundering, and those are not that hard. But even so, just the entire notion, Buzz, of the way we do regulatory licensure in this country is you literally the government employs people whose job is to take and is to basically be difficult. That's their job. And if you're not difficult,
No argument there.
if you're not difficult, you don't need as many of them, right? And so if you give someone the incentive that says you're going to be judged based on how many people you can hire and how long you can make things take, guess what? Things are going to take a long time. You're going to have a lot of people doing it, which creates cost. It's just the wrong way governments do things. So if you do end up talking with people in government, that's what needs to be changed. By the way, you know who would agree with what I just said? Paul Atkins. He totally understands this. And there are people in the government who do understand it, but I don't know if there's anyone at DFS or in the New York City government that does. That's why I felt compelled to speak up.
The DFS recently like doubled down, wasn't it? Like last week, saying that the bit license is a global standard. I thought that was just blasphemy, Dave.
Yeah, the funny part about it is the concepts are fine. It's the implementation that sucks. I mean, look, Randy, the odds that you and I are going to disagree on this are about zero. It's just a question of just digging one layer deeper. That's all.
Yeah, I totally agree. The bit license, it was just, especially in 2020, you just lost one exchange after the other. And I really believe that it hinders innovation, but also hinders the liquidity of the market. And even you could compare it to like Operation Choke Point 2.0, where there's so many people that lost access to cryptocurrency because of the loss of the exchanges. So that ultimately impacts the market and the market activity.
Oh,
I
for
think
sure.
Bitcoin price would be double if they didn't do all this.
No, well, I doubt that, but maybe we should have talk on a podcast. I could explain why I don't agree with that, but I do think that the general nature that look, light touch principles based regulation improves confidence in markets. It's probably a good thing. I know a lot of people in crypto would say, "Oh my God, no," but it does. I mean, rug pulls make people really angry and stop a lot of investments. And so, understanding that if you do one that you're going to get something bad's going to happen to you is probably good. That said, a bit license costing, and I'm not making it up, costing $500,000 and taking the better part of a year to get is literal insanity. It makes no sense. It does exactly what Randy just said. It forced people out. It means New Yorkers have less financial choice. I mean, I live in Florida, so and I'm not going to say that's a reason, but when we were looking at moving coin routes from New York down to Florida, it was a reason, right? We were also not expecting Operation Choke Point. We didn't expect Gensler to come in and make it impossible to do anything on a regulated basis, but that's a different story, and thankfully we're past that now.
Yeah, I love those takes. A lot of big things on the horizon. I'd love to continue moving around the room. Again, everybody, make sure you're following these different speakers. Share this out. Drop your comments down below. Again, welcome to another breaking news space here on the Mario and Alpha Roundtable Space channel. We got Crypto Face in the house, the chart master, trading extraordinaire. You're seeing the breakout above and now the hover around the zone. What's your thoughts on where we're at in this market? And is it a sell in May and walk away like so many people kept arguing? Or is this just a whole new ball game looking into the summer and beyond?
Oh man. Oh, are you guys able to hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Loud and clear,
Sweet.
my friend.
First off, I've been trading so hardcore for not just the past couple of days, but for the past like 2 months. So I'm half cooked. I'm like runner's high. I'm like a trader's high right now. But listen, we've been seeing this move coming. And I'm not just saying like a year out in advance. Every week, every day, I have to pat myself on the back, even as much of a douchebag. I hate to sound like a douchebag, but from the weekly momentum, market cipher curving up for the bull run or a bull run confirmed. Boom, it happened. The measuring tool on TradingView is so useful, and you can use it with multiple indicators. More people need to use the measuring tool to measure time and when you think your prediction is going to happen. But as far as price action and what's it's gonna do, it's looking good to me. It's looking good to me. I mean, the original idea is holding true, which was November, December is going to be the time to get out. That would complete the 4-year cycle. And whatever the price is in November, December, the price is going to be, and then we'll see what happens after that. But as of today and as of right now, I think we got more to go. I'm long, I'm strong, and it's like, man, we forgot what it's like to be to have this bull run type of euphoria, and I want to enjoy every drop of it. I want to enjoy every drop of it, and I am.
Dude, and for anybody that, if you're not familiar with Crypto Face, if you wonder if he has conviction on the trade or the calls he's making, he's currently right now in about a $22 million trade. Talk about conviction on a move, and what a guy. And are you going to be out in Vegas?
Of course, I
Oh
will
man.
be.
Yeah, I look forward to seeing you out there. We'll have the whole crew out there. Also, many of you that are listening in, make sure you drop comments. We'll try to coordinate to meet up with as many people as possible. And thanks for popping in your face. We're going to keep moving
Yeah, I'm
around the
going
room.
ham in Vegas. Hey, no rule. The rules are there is no rules. I want rules to be broken. Definitely going to be partying. And so, yeah, no, this one's got to be special. This one's got to be special because if I'm not, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think I am. But it's felt like this time the bull runs and bear markets were lasting a day. Like we've had like 20 bull runs this year and like 40 bear markets this year. Like every day, the bull runs just last one day. And man, it was feeling like people have gotten a little too bearish. And I know what it's like to get trapped into wanting to short Bitcoin at its resistances and man, don't get caught trying to short Bitcoin this year. Hell no. Hell no. So I'm just hyped right now. I know this is a professional place. I'm not being very professional, but
You're
Hey,
doing
we
great.
got
This is
Bitcoin
huge.
breaking past $109,000. We got a never-ending onslaught of bullish news over the last 6 months. A complete flippening of the sentiment on the global stage from the legacy players. A never-ending flow of new liquidity coming in. I mean, there's no reason not to be excited with where we're at right now. I'd love to keep moving around the room though a little bit just to get some other people.
one more thing, and then I'll let
Let's hear
everyone
it,
else talk.
baby.
I'm sorry, but we still have a lot of good news to come. We still haven't had Russia and Ukraine war end. We still have all these other shit going on. So there's still a lot of good news to come. Yeah, dude, it's just getting started. Just getting started. Thank you for having me.
Oh,
Hell yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. Bro. Go ahead, Drew.
No, I mean, I love Face's energy, man. He's one of the most convicted and honestly one of the most intelligent traders out there. So really appreciate you coming up, Face, and sharing your thoughts on it. And he's highlighting something super important. It's the peace pump, bro. The Trump peace pump. No one's looking out for that. And that's something that I've been looking out for. I think Trump's the guy that can broker this type of deal. And we have, Texas one vote away from passing their Bitcoin strategic reserves, the eighth biggest GDP on the planet, about to get ready for an actual Bitcoin reserve, not just like the Arizona will hold what we got type movements. And these types of things happening in news, in my opinion, gives us a normalized bull market for Bitcoin. And, everyone's asking when alts, you got to be patient and you have to be a little crazy to be holding alts, especially when Bitcoin reserves are being talked about. But you know what? If it was easy, everyone would do it. And then not everyone would make massive gains. So I'll send it back to you, Kelly. But I mean, this is so exciting to see this chart pattern play out the same because like I said, we pulled back hard 30% in 2021, in the first few months of it. And a lot of people had the same capitulation problems. And now we're in the same spot, same thing happening. And we're just cooking on forward, man. I'm excited.
Yeah, it's very exciting. And to Face's point, I think one of the fractures in that sort of bullish sentiment this year is so many people. There's a lot of people that were still riding the I hope altcoins can, gain me more Bitcoin. And maybe that will still happen to some regard. But we saw the Bitcoin market, go from $15,500 in December of 2022 to now, over $100,000. Actually, January 20th, the inauguration day, which is previous all-time high before we broke down to, the 74 level, retested the previous range high, now back above 109. We are in an incredibly bullish structure while the altcoins had a bit of a double round trip, really sort of shaking up the sort of broader crypto ecosystem bullish sentiment. But I do think there's going to be opportunity, but I do think this is a Bitcoin heavy season and you need to be very careful if you're going to be involved in alts. But I'd love to keep going. We got Tim Kotzman in the house. How you doing? Bitcoin treasuries. What's your thoughts on what's going on in the market? I know there's a lot on the horizon. Just how you doing? Thanks for joining. I can't hear him. Okay, we can't hear him, so we're going to talk about some things. I apologize if I'm interrupting. Can anybody else hear Tim?
Nope.
All right, so sorry, Tim. If you could drop down and come back up, we'll bring you back up. But X is glitchy when we're dropping hot alpha. Love to get you back in the mix. Let's roll over to Mind Your Biz. Seth, how you doing, my brother? And are you going to be in Vegas, my friend?
I'm doing fantastic. To answer the first question, and yes, I will be in Vegas. I'm looking forward to seeing friends and fam out in Vegas for all the festivities the entire week. There's a lot going on out there, so you'd be crazy to miss it. This is going to be as Faye said, it's going to be the party of the century for sure. So yeah, definitely going to be in Vegas for Bitcoin and then for the other related stuff. But I'm excited because right now, look. As was mentioned before, Randy said it. I mean, 90% of the world has yet to discover Bitcoin or to actually hold it. That's in my mind the metric. Not so much that we've got institutional players that are coming in and going hot and heavy, though I'm not mad about that either. Seeing some of the lists that are coming out now, where you're seeing some of the maxis saying, hey, if you want indirect exposure, start looking at some of these companies that are holding Bitcoin privately. Get some indirect exposure into your portfolio as well. A couple of really great trends on this bull run that that should get more people excited. That said, private equity is one thing. I want to see private ownership. I want to see people, the people get Bitcoin into their wallets. So if you're listening to this and you're saying, hey, I'm tragically underexposed to Bitcoin directly, I agree. You're tragically underexposed to Bitcoin directly. Because if you hold a password and a username to an exchange, or you hold a password and a username to a brokerage, you don't hold Bitcoin. You hold something else. So I'm just going to be that guy on this space to advocate for the cypherpunk mentality. You need more real Bitcoin in your life. It is a bearer asset. Satoshi framed it as a bearer asset. The original cypherpunks who first championed it knew that it was a bearer asset. Coinbase and other early on off ramps were trying to sell it to you as a bearer asset and made those rails gave them plenty of grist so that you could bring it back into your own private custody as a bearer asset. That's what Bitcoin is. It's superior to gold in that it's infinitely divisible, and Satoshi even talked about that, where, what is it, BIP 177 right now? People are talking about redenominating. It doesn't mean that there will ever be more than 21 million Bitcoin. It just means that we're going to talk about them differently, or we're going to slice them up in a different way and then talk about them differently. But I just want to mention to the audience, again, if you're not thinking about, hey, I can't afford one full Bitcoin. Hey, you might be right. You might not have the liquidity to drop, now 109 grand on a single Bitcoin at the moment, but you definitely can get yourself some Satoshis, regardless of what we call them in the future. You can own those privately. You can hold those privately. You don't have to have a full Bitcoin. You can have a fraction of a Bitcoin. And as Dave said earlier, it's not hyperbolic. It's beginning to become very obvious, right? To those of us who've been saying it for years, that Bitcoin will eventually be $1 million asset. It's becoming much more obvious, right? It's manifesting that right now, where it's a mere 10x to that $1 million level. And the way that things are going, as you said, the Trump peace pump, man, more good news to go. I appreciate that being brought into the mix as well. But if you think that that's true, why wouldn't you hold some of your own native Bitcoin as a bearer asset right now and keep that locked away for a rainy day? Why wouldn't you do that? That was the original intent. The intent was not to give your entire life savings over to a custodian. Again, very first Genesis block. Bankers on verge of second bailout. Now, I'm paraphrasing, so I'm slaughtering it. I apologize. I'll do much better about that in the future. But Satoshi wrote into the Bitcoin asset that you should not trust custodians. I'm here to remind you that you have to be very cautious about how you move into this asset class and need to be sure that you're actually holding what you think you're holding. Because if you are holding just the username and password to an account, yeah, maybe you got 2FA, good for you. Maybe you got a brokerage that'll do an additional factor of authentication for you, so they know that it's you that's engaged in a trade or you that's engaged in some kind of an operation. But guess what? That's still not Bitcoin. So if we're talking about Bitcoin breaking all-time high, let me talk more about the Bitcoin than the all-time high, because the euphoria only lasts as long as the price action when we're talking about all-time highs. It will retrace. In fact, it already has retraced. It's no longer 109,000 at the moment. And those fluctuations, it'll continue in a sawtooth pattern. I don't want to take any of Face's thunder. He's the guy that knows these charts like the back of his hand. But I will just say, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to tell you the price action moves in waves. So if you're only excited about high prices, let me just be the person on the space to remind you can stay excited about Bitcoin itself, the asset itself, what it's designed to do on its own. And you can hold it by yourself. That's the revolution. That's what makes this so valuable. That's what makes it more valuable than gold. That's what makes all these companies decide, you know what, we should really hedge against our, some of our other financial bets. You know what, we should really hold something that helps us be a little bit, global financial crisis resistant, like the last time that we had a global meltdown and Bitcoin was then birthed. You can do the same. I'm not going to say you have to be your own bank, but if you're looking at characters like Elon Musk and like Michael Saylor to save you by getting indirect exposure to some of their stock, you're doing it wrong. Bitcoin exists for you and me too. Anyway, I'm excited about that, Kevin.
I love it. No, it's a good point. I think we all get a little bit over enamored on what the price is doing at any given moment, rather than looking at the underlying data and the outlook of where things are going beyond that. But great points there, Mind Your Biz. Always love having you on stage, bringing some reality to the confusion of the emotion of moments, whether it's price action go up or price action go down. Those emotions always signal something. You could realize it's actually probably more broadly happening in the space. I want to continue on throughout the space. Make sure you all are following these various people, these speakers, also the Roundtable Space account. Shout out to the IBC team pulling these together so we can come up to you and bring the breaking news to you. We got Victor in the house as well. How you doing? Thanks for joining us. What do you make of the price action today, and where you think we might be going throughout the summer?
GM Kelly. Appreciate you for having me. Well, first of all, it is incredible time to be alive and witness Bitcoin over 100,000 again. I think it's fascinating sight to see. We've all been dreaming about it since Bitcoin was a tiny baby, and today it is a reality. So once again, Bitcoin is proving that it kind of not planning to stop, and as a technology getting more and more widely adopted. And in terms of price action, I don't know the future, unfortunately, but I can tell you that at this point and rate of adoption that we're witnessing, especially from the governments and the large institutions, I don't think so. The Bitcoin will experience the traditional bear market as it used to be in the past, just because all this liquidity that is inevitably could actually enter only the Bitcoin at this point on, maybe a little bit in Ethereum. It will continue to come in. And there is no other assets in crypto that would allow you to store such a huge amount of wealth right now, other than the Bitcoin, and actually try to allocate, let's say, even 1% of portfolio. If you're a pension fund, that's a lot of money. That would be nearly a capitalization of the Bitcoin at this point on, right? So for them to allocate as capital, it's going to take time, of course. And I don't see that they will be all of a sudden altogether selling if we got to the bear market territory once again. I think when the bear market vibes eventually would approach us, and that is probably going to be after the summer because we still not there by the sentiment, and I will get to it in a second. I think that the Bitcoin dominance level will continue to rise, and the Bitcoin will eventually, maybe not this cycle, maybe next cycle, become one of the most stable things because it's going to have a huge amount of capital locked into it. And for anyone to move a market, even just 5 to 10%, that would become harder and harder. Today, we know that crypto and Bitcoin in particular is very volatile, and I think it will continue to be for quite some time until it really proven itself to the masses, being superior to the gold. And now getting to the point of the sentiment, the Bitcoin is over 100,000, and on the timeline, it doesn't feel like we are, at the top of the bull run as it was the last time when NFTs been exploding, when everything was exploding. Where you go, you could put $10 literally in nearly anything the last bull run when it was the peak of the FOMO, and you would probably still make some money back. Today, that's not the case yet, and people are very cautious, and the timeline is not overly excited yet. It feels like it is more on the neutral stance, so I think there is still room for growth, at least in the sentiment levels. And
I
Bitcoin dominance
absolutely.
start to decrease. So answering about the alts, the Bitcoin dominance is a little bit lower than it was just a little time ago. So that's also a good sign. There is a little more room to breathe for the altcoins too now. But yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, super excited about that. You touched on a couple things there. It's not just a price action. We've got an outline of things to come. Remember, we were or still are enamored in a pretty big global tariff war with we saw a pretty big sell-off into April 7th, marking the bottom. The VIX spiked like a mofo. I actually did some posts on that on my page with massive bullish divergence that also showed the price action launched out of that. But now we have some other things on the horizon. I'd love to get Farouk Ahmed here in the mix as well. I see you're also involved with Pakistan Bitcoin because I saw this morning we have some news regarding the World Economic Forum or at the World Economic Forum. European Union is preparing to trade a trade proposal for the U.S., but then also Pakistan sets up authority to license Bitcoin firms and boost mining with surplus energy. We're also seeing that in Bhutan, and we're seeing it the world over with different nations getting different types of exposures and different types of infrastructure tied in with Bitcoin. So Farouk, what's your thoughts on the landscape and where we're going from here?
Thank you, Kelly. And yeah, it feels amazing. Bitcoin is breaking all-time highs again. And I just wanted to mention little things about what's the Bitcoin ecosystem happening in developing countries like Pakistan. Pakistan is the fifth largest country by population in the world. It's a huge country, and by Bitcoin adoption, in general, crypto, if we would say, Pakistan is one of the top countries, and a lot of people are using Bitcoin here. We don't actually have, any regulated exchanges where people can buy it, but all the tradings is happening on P2P platforms, and there's huge interest. People are buying Bitcoin for savings technology, for investment purposes, and companies and businesses. It's fucking huge, and we compare it to the developed world where we have everything like institutions and these ETFs and exchanges and everything. Where it's easier for people to just use their credit cards or debit cards to hold on Bitcoin. It's hard here in Pakistan. It's very hard for people, especially for new people when they hear this, about Bitcoin and they want to buy it. They have a lot of questions. Uh, you know it's hard, but the adoption is increasing in this region. And also, recently we got Pakistan Crypto Council impact. The government launched a new council. It's called PCC, Pakistan Crypto Council, that's also working with the companies and bringing in adoption here in the country. So yeah, the future of Bitcoin in developing countries like Pakistan, it's gonna go crazy in the near future. Yeah,
Absolutely. And I'd love to, I appreciate you joining everybody. Make sure you're following these folks on stage. We got Dennis Porter in the house, and I know he's out there always actively with boots on the ground in all the different legislative bodies around the U.S. with states. But also we had some major news yesterday. We touched on it earlier, but I'd like to retouch on it with Dennis Porter here, discussing that second vote yesterday with the Bitcoin Strategic Bitcoin Reserve SB 21 that passed overwhelmingly quickly. It was surprising how fast that passed without them debating back and forth. But there is a third vote, so I'd love to get your take on that, and also if there's any other states on the near horizon with these Bitcoin reserves and what the impact may be. Thanks for being here, brother.
Yeah, absolutely happy to be here. I am in the tunnels in Washington, D.C. right now, walking from office to office. So I had a brief moment to be able to jump up here on stage. So I appreciate you giving me the opportunity. Yeah, very exciting time in the space. Obviously, we are seeing fresh all-time highs on the backs of 3 states now potentially having strategic Bitcoin reserves established. Texas would be the third. That bill is awaiting its third and final vote today, and that is going to happen within the hour or within several hours here. Sorry, I'm like dodging people in the tunnels here. My gosh, it's a busy day in the Capitol. The vote is scheduled for today. It's more procedural. Texas is a little different than most states. Most states, you get your first reading, they vote. You get your second reading, they vote. And those are typically procedural votes. And then the third one is usually where the most important decisions are made, where debate takes place and where, bills live or die. Well, it's different in Texas. They do that on a second reading. And the third reading in Texas tends to be a little bit more procedural. So I'd say it's pretty much a shoe-in. I've been texting with folks that are near the top of the food chain over there in Texas, and they feel extremely confident in this bill getting passed, getting its final passage, and then getting signed by the governor as well. I mean, the amount of political support. Not only do you have Senator Schwartner and Chairman Capriglione, and Schwartner is also chairman as well, as the sponsors of the bill, but you also have the lieutenant governor in Texas making this bill a priority. So odds of passage are extremely high, and we're very excited about having a third state, the 8th largest economy in the world, Texas.
So Dennis, let me ask you
just
to clarify, because I know there's been different types of Bitcoin reserves passed in Arizona versus New Hampshire, and what we're seeing of these bills. Is a Texas bill just a don't sell your confiscated Bitcoin, or is it a certain allocation? Because I also saw an amendment just before they went live, giving a little bit of a barrier or a limitation on how smart, like what substantiation a crypto had to have beyond Bitcoin, other altcoins and stuff, with market cap size and so forth. So what will this bill entail if it fully passes?
Yeah, so the big thing here is that definitely this is bill that enables the comptroller, who is essentially the treasurer, to be able to purchase Bitcoin. And it has a $500 billion market cap. So that's in alignment with, Satoshi Action Model policy. That's what we passed in New Hampshire. The one thing that they amended that's different from the model that we created is that they gave a 24-month timeline in order for a technology or a digital asset to qualify, whereas other bills that have been introduced and the bill that passed in New Hampshire was 12 months. So it's an average. Essentially, it's to protect against let's say there's some sort of market manipulation or a technology briefly achieves a $500 billion market cap that does not allow it to qualify. Mostly, when you're creating these things, the thought process is like trying to make sure that really Bitcoin is the only thing that can be purchased. And so by creating that 24-month timeline and the $500 billion market cap threshold, it really ensures that it's very unlikely that anything other than Bitcoin will be purchased for many years to come in the state of Texas. So that's very exciting. We recommended to states a $750 billion market cap, but a lot of state lawmakers have seemingly defaulted to this $500 billion market cap, especially after so many states, including New Hampshire, introduced it. And now that New Hampshire's passed that into law, we expect it to become pretty traditional at this point.
That's incredible. I mean, it's just great news all around. We're even seeing legislation being debated right now, or at least a court case being debated in Australia, debating whether or not Bitcoin is money or not. And if that were the case, and of course, this is Australia. Remember, Bitcoin isn't just an asset in the US. Then that means that they wouldn't basically be taxed on their Bitcoin because it would be a money. We also saw, I forget which state, was it Wisconsin or Michigan? I can't remember which state just was passing a law regarding was it capital gains? I can't even remember, something about taxes on Bitcoin. But there's just nonstop. Do you have any other major bills that you're working on, or states that are just not getting the attention they need, or anything that we can do to help as Bitcoiners?
Yeah, absolutely. There's most states have part-time legislatures, and I do have to jump here in a second, but most states have part-time legislatures. Some are full-time. The ones that are part-time, the bills that are left are Texas and North Carolina. In the pipeline, North Carolina, actually, the Speaker of the House is the bill sponsor there, so that has a lot of political support. But there will be some tough work ahead, just like with any state. With states with year-round legislatures, you'll see Pennsylvania and Ohio moving forward again here shortly. Both of those states, well, Pennsylvania was the actually original state that made the introduction when we worked with Representative Cabell there back in 2024. There should be a new bill coming forward, a new announcement. I can't share more. I don't want to get ahead of myself on it, but there should be some more news coming out of Pennsylvania soon. And then also in Ohio, we will see a bill introduced there. I think it might have actually already be technically drafted. I can't recall if it has a bill number yet, but we'll be working closely with the majority whip there, who is going to be the bill sponsor and has also been the one that has worked on digital asset rights with us in the past. So certainly there's some states that are in the pipeline still for the rest of the year. Ohio, Pennsylvania, Texas, and North Carolina. And also, we're just going to start gearing up for 2026 here again soon. So if we get 3, maybe 4 states to pass this into law going into 2026, I mean, that's incredible momentum for us to get this across the finish line, and maybe 4 or 5 or 6 more states. Our goal is to look at this with all 50 states. Not likely that all 50 states will pass it in the next year or two, but that's sort of the way we look at this policy vertical. But I got to jump. Thank you so much, everybody, and I appreciate you guys putting the spaces together, and looking forward to jumping on the next one.
Thanks for joining, Dennis. Always appreciate you coming up, my friend.
Yeah, always great to have Dennis on. We were excited last night with the Texas, the movement towards fully passing. We're seeing, I mean, it's just amazing. If we even consider that we have one state, let's just take a moment here, that we've not only been having state legislators debate getting Bitcoin reserve bills in order, but we already have 2 passed. We have the strategic Bitcoin reserve bill still for the U.S. that needs to get fully enacted and passed, and we'll have to see how that goes. But I do believe the Genius bill final vote or debate is on today as well. The movement forward in real conversation, just the conversation alone is such an enormous hurdle that we've jumped to get to where we're at right now. And the digital asset ecosystem, Bitcoin and digital assets, the new plumbing for the global financial, just behemoth that it is setting up what the next, decades and beyond are going to be, the generations beyond. We're in the middle of a re-evolution of what's happening, a new integration of the technology that we're all a part of. So we should all just be grateful, even if you're not fully invested yet, or even if you're just now getting some sort of education exposure. You are so far ahead of the rest of the world, Nate. Couldn't be more excited on this. But we got Duchess in the house as well. Always love hearing her thoughts. What do you make of the price action today and just the general landscape of where we're going? Thanks for being here.
Hi, thanks for having me. I think it's awesome, but as I think it was Mind Your Business or Mind Your Biz, sorry, said, I don't really put too much in price movements. I hold Bitcoin for the long term, and I did want to make a couple of points, though, again, as it relating to what Mind Your Biz said, because I think it's really important. Self-custody is so important, but, at the end of the day, I think that people, for the most part, will choose comfort over the things that we say that require, a little bit of extra effort. And, I think it's important for us to follow through with the very, very important things that he said about self-custody and take people through these steps. So, maybe next year at the Bitcoin conference, there can be a session on actually taking people through, how to do that. I mean, I run a full Bitcoin node, but people don't, not everybody does that. And, some people just rather put their username and passwords. So, or if it's done here, I know that you do, I think you do video, you're very good with like your screen and stuff. I think that that would be very, very helpful for people to actually have people take them through, okay, this is what you do, this is what you do, because there is a learning curve. And I think there are people who hear stuff that we say, but then they're like, okay, but what do I do? And then they go and they get stuck and they just like go back to Robinhood or Coinbase or wherever.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. There's a
Well,
major ignorance in just the education level, or just a general awareness of the actual. I don't want to say the ease, but I think it's a lot easier than people think it is. But the otherness is still a major barrier. But Mind Your Biz, I saw you were about to jump in there. What's your thoughts?
Well, yeah. First off, I want to say, hey, thanks, Duchess, for calling that out, and I appreciate that you feel so strongly about self custody that you run a full node. That's not a small feat for most people these days. It would be something that most people would find, for whatever reason, very difficult, mostly because they're unfamiliar with it. I'm sure that you found with the exposure of having done it a few times, just a few repetitions of trying the thing, that it was much easier than maybe you originally thought. And I think you're right. It is a question of just a little bit of hand holding, a little bit of onboarding. And it's so weird. This whole space has been a blast from the past, because Dennis Porter, he had to jump, and I'm going to have to as well in a minute here. But a few years back, we were regulars on a clubhouse space. I won't name the name, but a clubhouse space where we would talk about some of those lessons, and we would regularly try to onboard people and give some of those hand-holding lessons in a live space where people could ask questions and have that comfort level of just having the back and forth with a very approachable person, just like how Duchess, right? When she gets on the mic, it's very obvious that she's a very approachable and real person. We would do that, and it requires that. I've come to believe now that, if I can just maybe add one more thing to this conversation, then I got to bounce. It's incumbent on us with our personal circles, Duchess, with people who you know and who would trust you and who would ask you, like, hey, could you teach me? And then, guys like Dave, he's very well aware of this because of the line of business that he's been in for so long. And I'm sure he even has institutional documents that help with this. But it's different when it's somebody right, who asks you, like, hey, I think I'm ready. I'm ready to onboard and do this thing. Farouk as well, talking about how in Pakistan, the majority of transactions are peer-to-peer. Because of right now, there's not as many institutional, options for custodying Bitcoin. But it just hits different when it's a family member or a friend that says, will you teach me? And then you spend that time and you teach them the best practices as you've already tried them out yourself. You help them decrease that learning curve, and you help them, commit fewer mistakes than maybe we did when we got started, right? Fewer coin burns, fewer coins lost. Everyone here I know has bare minimum a 5-figure or 6-figure sob story that, we call tuition, but people who we know, they might not be able to bear that loss. So we can help them remove those learning curve problems and mistakes by being that friendly listening ear, and then that holding hand to help them custody those funds on their own. I won't go belabor the point here in this space in talking about it, but I'm just going to say, we talk about trustless systems. The funny thing is that the thing that makes it all work is people still, right? So people who trust you, like, go out of your way to make sure that you teach them how to use these trustless systems the right way.
Right on.
Yeah, I really appreciate that.
Great points there. I do want to just also shout out to everybody that is in the room. We will be wrapping here in a moment, but I do want to get a couple more voices in. I see a couple hands. We're going to go to Dave, and then we're going to go to Pete and Drew, if he's still there. And we're going to be wrapping out here in a bit. But remember, Bitcoin all-time high. There's so much more to come. There's a lot going on in this market in terms of all the headwinds before have become tailwinds. And we have new tailwinds blowing us into our sort of sales into profits for those that are, participating in the market and doing it on strategy rather than the emotional swings that we're getting from, the impulses in the market. But I couldn't be more excited. I do want to say thank you to everybody that has been here and all the speakers. Make sure you follow them before we do go. But Dave, what's your thoughts? And then we're going to go to Pete and Sam, and we'll have Buzz close it out.
Yeah, I mean, one of a couple of things. First, mine and I, we debate this all the time, but we actually agree with each other. So, it's like I have much less issue with the institutional means because, when I talk to people all the time, they say, "What do you do?" And before I'm going to explain to them going on Coinbase or Gemini or Kraken and then putting it off on and loading up your own wallet, which there are people who I will explain that to, and that's totally cool. There are others that it's just, you know what, go buy BITB. I always put people toward the Bitwise product because I believe in what Matt Hogan is doing in terms of supporting miners and being a crypto native. But it's just easier for them. And more to the point, it's not that it's just easier. It's that these are people who don't want to think about succession planning, don't want to think about how do they want to hold on to this stuff, and it's harder. And so it will get easier and easier. There are more applications being built all the time. The other big debate that hasn't come up in this one room is, this, do you ever sell your Bitcoin or do you use your Bitcoin? And the real problem there's two. One is being solved technologically, whether it's Lightning or, talk to Eden Yago over at Bitcoin OS in terms of ways to spend Bitcoin. But the fact is, most of the people who own it think it's going to go up by a factor of 10. If you think that, you don't want to spend it unless you want to spend and replace. But spending and replacing means you pay the government a cut. And that taxation is an issue. So these issues will get worked through. With luck, there will be some ability for de minimis, maybe $600 or below spending of Bitcoin where it's not taxed as capital gains. And if we got that, then people would spend it more. And those are the sorts of things that will happen as Bitcoin's price continues to move higher, because it's the kind of thing that will attract more and more people's attention. So, I mean, this is, today is a first stop, right? And whether it holds this level or not, I actually think it very well might. And we do go into price discovery. We're still seeing no euphoria. We're seeing nothing in terms of the retail side. And I just want to keep repeating that. When Bitcoin is at a high that is literally likely to retrace, you generally see enormous demand for longing on derivative exchanges. And I was checking the funding rates this morning as it was going there. Let's see, I'm up here. Yeah, it's actually gotten lower. It's like less than half the Fed funds rate to borrow to buy go long Bitcoin. So there's just no demand for that right now. And so this is real spot buying, and it's the kind of rally that people say they hate it because everyone seems to be expecting it to retrace. And if there's one thing we know about markets, Kelly, markets do the opposite of what people expect.
Absolutely. Dave, always love having you here. I just want to shout out your pinned tweet of Robert Breedlove, because I think it speaks to the true nature of where we're at and where we need to go. Most people are drawn into Bitcoin to make money. Those people who study Bitcoin close enough stay to remake money. Bitcoin is an earth-shattering monetary innovation wrapped in a misperceived get-rich-quick scheme, and I think that's starting to ebb that curve. But I want to continue around the horn here. We're going to be wrapping out here in just a couple minutes. I want to get over to who is it, Pete, and then Isaac, and then Sam. So, Pete, what's your thoughts?
Thank you so much for bringing me up on stage. I really do agree with Dave's assessment about how there's so little FOMO in the market. It's crazy. The fact that the fear and greed index is still less than 70, and we're making all-time highs at 109, just blows me away. And the short term, we are just about to have a golden cross as far as the technicals go. So the 50 is just about to cross the 200-day. Last time that happened was in October of last year, and Bitcoin went up 55% in 50 days. So we are on the crux of a massive move, I think. Longer term, bigger picture, we're really just approaching the beginning of the massive S curve that brings all new technologies from 10% adoption to 80% adoption, right? And I just want to reiterate, we still are so early. I can't believe the number of people that I know that know I own Bitcoin that have not asked me one question about it. And I just want to leave it there.
It's exciting. It's bullish as it can be that we really haven't even cracked into any sort of the major fold yet, but we are starting to see an enormous number of corporations realize it and they're stacking. But I hope retail really gets their awareness factor in place so they can. This is the first time in history you really had a major opportunity to front run institutions, corporations, sovereign wealth funds, governments, and yet the majority of people are gonna buy after all those people and wonder how they missed the boat yet again. But we're gonna be wrapping up here in just a second. So a couple quick thoughts. Isaac, your thoughts here, and then Sam, and then I got a message from the IBC team.
Hey everybody, it's exciting times to be a Bitcoiner, and it's just amazing to watch the charts just continue to rise. And like everyone's saying here, retail is actually kind of out. They're kind of missing this. Bitcoin's breaking all-time highs and no one's even paying attention to it. And I think that a lot of people think that they've missed the boat on Bitcoin. And I just had a conversation with Rizzo, the Bitcoin historian, the other day, where he was talking about how even in 2013, he thought that he was late. And it's like Bitcoin continuously has this thing where you look at the price and you're like, this couldn't go much higher. I mean, I'm late. Well, every year is a massive opportunity for Bitcoin. And even now at 110,000, you could buy in this and in a few years, double, triple your money. What other thing out there is just sitting there with such an opportunity for people to jump in and to join it? And I tell my friends and everybody, hey, look at Bitcoin as like an actual savings account, because it's like, it's not a speculative investment. It's not a get rich quick scheme. It is the most sound money that mankind has ever invented and is going to be with us for a very long time. And I honestly think that Bitcoin and crypto technology is going to be what facilitates interplanetary transfers in the future. And we're actually really freaking early, even now at 110,000. So
well,
I think that's
on
really
that
cool.
note, I just wanted to just jump in here because I was scrolling just Twitter as we were watching. Bitcoin did just break a little bit higher to another slightly higher all-time high. We also just got in from Cointelegraph. The U.S. Senate has officially advanced the Genius Bill for consideration. So that's just another bullish tick in the feather, in the hat of, I don't even know if there's anything in the way of higher side other than ignorance and, over dubious speculation. So I do want to say before we go to Sam, Don't forget, this is brought to you by IBC. We've got an incredible team here, about 200 strong. Don't forget, Mario's company, IBC, has been around since 2017, working with some of the biggest projects, including many of the Binance Launchpad projects this year, some of the biggest launches of the year. You can check the case studies on their website. They also have a massive department working with the top AI agents platforms at Web2, Web3. If you got a VC-backed project, a meme token, an AI project, a listed project, reach out. They are one of the most active investors in the space and also do incubation, marketing services, consulting, all of that and more. Definitely DM Mario's account on the Roundtable or the Roundtable's space account, depending on, I'm here, so you can DM me as well if you like. And the team at IBC will connect you. They make it possible for us to get up here and break this news, bring these panels together. So special shout out to the entire IBC team. And I see you down in there, Hannah. Shout out to you as well for always pulling these together. Continuing on, again, make sure you're following all these different panelists. Again, thank you all for being here. Sam, your thoughts, and then we'll have Buzz wrap it out.
Hi guys, can you hear me?
Loud and clear, baby.
Perfect. Yeah, just wanted to congratulate us with this milestone. It's an achievement again, and my observations are actually is that this is such a healthy environment we have nowadays compared to the previous all-time highs. I'm a retail, I'm no institution, I'm not a company, I'm just your average Joe, like investing, and my observation is that there's so much there's a lack of FOMO, and I would agree with Dave is that nowadays like almost we're almost at 110k, and it just feels like, yeah, meh, whatever, but it's actually a big thing if you compare it to the previous euphoria. So it's actually something that comes to remind us that no matter what people think, the market is going to do just the opposite. So just the fact that we think that it's nothing special, it is something special, and soon we're gonna have a massive breakthrough because markets always do the opposite of what the majority is expecting.
Absolutely. I definitely hear you on that. And, there was a little bit of a bull flag earlier. It looked like it failed. This is on a very small time frame, but it is targeting up at about $111,000. And I was just looking at the liquidation heat map. That's just under right about where the next large liquidation levels are at about $111,000. $20 somewhere. And there's another huge liquidation zone right about 108. So kind of small little trap zone that the price is likely going to oscillate between. But it's exciting, man. Again, congratulations to everybody that has been here. I see Buzz. Love to get your thoughts. We didn't get your thoughts on what's going on here. Is ETH finally gonna make its way up? What the hell? I know you're an ETH maxi, but how you feeling about this, brother?
I wouldn't define myself as an ETH maxi. As soon as ETH goes up, I'm going to be giving up my maxiness, if you catch my drift. But I think this is great. Like, I mean, all of the indicators, at least to me, the same as what people have been talking about the whole space. This looks to be very institutionally driven. When you look at retail indicators like Google search volume or App Store downloads for first time buyers, it's either the fact that retail isn't really participating in this market, or retail is just participating via the ETFs. And I tend to think that it's that retail isn't here yet. So I think this is really bullish. I think we're the market's getting driven up a lot, like what Dave said, with people who are going to be in the market for at least a year and a half, and we're not yet seeing people entering the market that's going to cause a blow off top. So I think in the short term, I'm pretty bullish. I'm a little bit uneasy the fact that this is happening in May, with the old adage of sell in May and walk away. But when you look at the underlying indicators, this is great news, and just happy to be here celebrating it with you, Kelly.
Absolutely. Just a note on that. I broke down on my channel a little while back. It's about a 50-50, a little less than 50-50 on sell in May and walk away for the crypto market. And when you look at the S&P 500, it's only been, I think, two times in the last many years that it's actually been a sell in May, or actually even having red months between the May and July timeframe. So I think the 2022 PTSD is still in the crypto ecosystem about the massive meltdown that we had starting in May that just completely tanked the market all the way into the FTX collapse, which took us down to let's realize silver lining there, flushed out a lot of the people swimming naked, got a little bit of substantiation of needing to, even though Bitcoin and crypto is exciting, you still need to manage risk appropriately, especially if you're an institution. Holy moly. But then also, let's be honest. I mean, I was buying down at $16,000 and $17,000. So what a gift that was. When you're looking at the chart, especially, some of the the quantitative sort of charts that are out there, and it's the fact that the supply metrics of Bitcoin and how it is inverse to the supply metrics of US dollars, it's literally inevitable that there's going to be dollar printings the world over. So that also therefore means that it's more likely than not that there's an inevitability that price action is going to be moving to the upside side, especially on Bitcoin. I mean, especially with the massive number of major players on the world stage now clamoring to figure out how they can get their hands on Bitcoin. But it couldn't be more exciting. Thank you all again for being here. Thank you to the IBC team. Thank you to everybody that's on the panel. This is your last chance. If you're in the room, make sure you're following everybody up here. Also, again, special shout out to the IBC team. Drop a DM if you, we are hiring here. If you would like to contribute your enormous talents in the Web3 space, especially in AI, drop a DM to the host of this account, Roundtable Space, or Mario Nafal. Also, if you're a VC of any project and you want to get integrated working with the IBC team, drop a DM there. But my name's Kelly Kellam. Thank you all for being here. Unless Buzz has anything else he'd like to say, I think we're going to wrap it here. Buzz, you got anything else?
Ready to rock. And just so people know who are tuning in, as soon as Bitcoin makes a blow off top, we'll be back again hosting another space, Kelly.
That's right. So big love to everybody. Thank you all for being here. Thank you to coming to another Mario Nafal Crypto Daily. We will see you or hear you and chat with you here online, IRL. Big love to you all. We'll see you in the next one. Adios. What's up, everybody? We are still here. Let's do a little bit of quick TA. Thank you all for tuning in. We are going breaking news on the Mario Nafal channel. For those of you that don't know what that is, I host a lot of stuff there as well. It's one of the largest crypto media companies outside of us as well. 2.2 million there. And then also the other account, Roundtable. If you ever want to catch me on some of those other ones, just follow these two accounts. These are also kind of got the nudge, kind of got the nod from the Elon Musk fam. So a lot of the stuff is very supported through what's happening on X with the posts and the content. And that's why there's such high viewership or listenership on those accounts. So big love to that team. I'm glad I'm able to share some of that with what you guys, because that was just able to get all those other guest speakers into the mix here with all you BitLab fam. So shout out to you guys. Let's go ahead and look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin broke out two new all-time highs. In fact, it is still pushing to new all-time highs as we speak, breaking up 109,650. We got to watch very carefully the liquidation zones that are just above us at 111 and the other liquidation hot zone right down here at 108. If the price action rejects where it's at right now, it's not the end of the world. In fact, we welcome it. Let's take advantage of opportunities, even if that opportunity is to get out of the charts if you're getting stressed. If you're actively trading, then look for levels that you can take advantage of. So when we look at this on Bitcoin, what levels would those be? Those levels, it's almost as if the liquidation heat map is looking at what I'm charting on the price action. Right here, 108. What is this? Previous range high, right, that we just broke out of. And the 111 level is the level, if you look at this bull flag that we have mapped out earlier, that target is right up here at 111.4. So the liquidation level is just below that at 111,100. $111,000. If we come back and look at Ethereum will likely start to catch a bid as well if Bitcoin doesn't break down. If Bitcoin breaks down, then ETH will likely roll over harder, and we'll also see a lot of the other alts that we're wanting to pump. If Bitcoin has a pullback down to 108 or 104 or 100, we're going to see a pretty substantial pullback likely in the altcoins. So be prepared for that if it happens. It might be giving you an opportunity. But Ondo breaking out, testing $1 as we speak, right at 99 bucks. We got Link. Basically, look at this. It actually broke out in the midst of us talking, because look at this. I had this earlier. Watch the level above and the level below. We've actually cleared that level. But the question is, are we going to get a candle closure beyond that on something like the 1 hour or above? As it stands right now, this may just be a deviation. So watch for a little bit of a suck back down if this does get rejected. If so, we want to maintain this level and not go down below it. If this is able to break out, we're right on the cusp of high, 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 chop, all in the zone. If we're able to break out of this, that's when we start to see some nice bullishness, potential follow through. But what we'd like to see is the breakout followed by a defended bull zone, meaning a breakout, a defended level, and a continuation, whether it's here or much higher, back down and continuation. As it stands right now, this is feeling very good. Very good. And we got some good news on that as well. I think it's right here. New York Stock Exchange talking about how JP Morgan, Ondo, and Chainlink are bringing banking payments rails to the Ondo chain. So Chainlink, JP Morgan, Ondo, all looking beautiful. And what are my two largest altcoin holdings? Ondo and Chainlink. I think Chainlink is the most undervalued altcoin in the ecosystem, because it's not just about this story. It's about SWIFT, the largest global payments network. It's about DTCC, the largest money clearinghouse, essentially the framework for the stock exchange. They do like $3 quadrillion a year. Sergey Nazarov was just on stage with him at a conference only a couple days ago. There's major developments there. Chainlink also just got integrated onto Solana. So is that a death knell for Pith? I don't know, but Chainlink is just making all the strides in all the right places, from both Web 2, traditional finance legacy systems, as well as Web 3 blockchain and the forward advancement of Rails in all aspects of blockchain and the integrations, CCIP, cross-chain interoperability protocol, which is Chainlink's protocol. Integrating so many different crypto things. And we see Strike founder Jack Mallers just said the UAE, United Arab Emirates, is buying billions of Bitcoin and mining Bitcoin. We're not even aware of how many major players are out there buying right now. I think we're going to see a flurry of major news announcements over the rest of this year as things get uncovered, of different major players, different nation states, different sovereign wealth funds, different pension funds, different ultra high net worth powerhouses on the world business stage. We are going to see so much money flood into this asset class. We do not want to lose our heads just as we're just getting there. We had this foreshadowing us last night. Bitcoin all-time high reached. I posted this. When was this? Last night at 10:22. Now, did we get the all-time high last night? Well, not in price action, but we did get the all-time high of daily closes. When a candle closed, at the end of that daily candle close, we closed this at the highest rate that we had ever gotten. That starts to wake people up. That starts to make people remove sales bids. That starts to make people add buy bids. We're seeing some strength in this market like we cannot even believe. And this is on the heels of also having the strategic Bitcoin reserve in Texas getting its final vote today, which will then go to the governor's desk. And then we also got the Genius Act, which is in process right now. Today, got passed to go to that final, basically hearing to potentially get passed, which would be absolutely major for the crypto ecosystem. Guys, this has been a little bit of a long one. We compressed some of the things at the end there, but I love you. I appreciate you. Each and every one of you has been here with us at BitLab Academy. Many of you all the way. Let's see how many OGs we have. If you were here in the first 6 months, this is almost 3 years ago. I don't even know now. If you were here from the start, drop OG in chat. If you're new here in this last year, hey, we love you just as much, but get active in the live chat. Join us here on BitLab Academy as a member on the YouTube channel. All you got to do is hit that subscribe button. Make sure it says subscribe. Check your page right now. Make sure your notifications are on. Hit the join button. It's about $1.25 a week. It's a great way to help support what we're doing. We got a whole team. We have a whole studio here. We have so much that we're doing here. And we have the BitLab Discord is integrating over into the Discover Investment Group's Discord, which that link is right here in the top. If you are a BitLab Academy member, we are moving everything I'm doing, and along with Drew, along with DZ, along with Josh, TJ, all of us are together over in the Discover Investment Group's Discord. And so if you are a BitLab Academy member, you don't need to do anything except for send us an email at office@hitnetwork.com, office@hitnetwork.com. This will only work for you if you are a BitLab member in our other Discord. And get active. Send an email to office@hitnetwork.com and let us know what your Discord username is. Not just a name that's visible. You'll see your full name that's visible. It's the little name that's under that might have a couple numbers, might have whatever. You can also look in Discord settings to see what your username is, your user ID, so that we can get you active on all the roles. And just by the way, that's incredibly cheaper than what it is over on the Discover investment groups. But we want to make sure that everybody's taken care of that's already been paying in our paid community in BitLab. So this is kind of a bit of a thank you. It's a one-time thing for all of you that have been active in the BitLab Academy Discord that are still paying. All you have to do, drop an email to office@hitnetwork.com. Let us know that you're a paying member there, the email that you use, and your Discord username, and we will get all your activity. You don't have to re-sign up. You're just going to continue to get billed at the rate that you're getting billed over on BitLab. And because once those spots fill up, then it's going to go up to that full. Everybody else is going to be paying full price. If you do want to join and you're not part of the Discord and you're not part of, and you just want to get active, go and sign up with us on LBank. That link is in the description down below, lbank.com. The code is 4M7MZ, or if you want to do it easy, just come right down here. You see this more button, click more, trade with us on LBank, sign up there, and you can get access to the free section of that Discord where Drew and I are in almost every morning talking about what's going on in the markets, giving charts, giving some little lessons. We got DZ that's doing stuff in the Discord throughout the week. We got Josh, we got everybody. So we're trying to bring everybody together in one spot so we can all absolutely hammer this market, make some profits. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. Big love to each and every one of you, and super double, quadruple special thanks to all the OGs in here. Thank you. I appreciate you. I love you. Good, grateful. God bless. We'll see you in the next one. Heading over to Blockchain Basement now. Adios.